I tried to stop using drugs for many, many years, and I couldn't seem to get it right. It seemed that there was nothing that I could do to get sober. I was hooked on heroin and methamphetamine and benzodiazepines and alcohol, and I just had a real problem, my friends. I would take anything that I could get. Cocaine, crack, just didn't matter what it was. I wanted it. I was obsessed with getting high for well over 2 decades. And my family and the people around me were afraid of me, and they kind of counted me out. My sister told me that she expected to get a call one day that I was found dead in a ditch somewhere. And that sounds about right concerning the way that I was living my life. And I didn't want to get high, my friends, for a very long time. I wanted to stop using, and I tried many times. I tried inpatient rehab. I tried outpatient intensive therapy. I tried psychiatric hospitals and correctional facility programs to try to stop using drugs. And I would feel good about it sometimes. I would think, hey, maybe I got it this time. When I was in rehab, for example, I was all gung-ho. And I didn't make it. I ended up leaving that rehab early and just getting out of there, and I got drunk as soon as I left. I went to a bar at the end of the road that rehab was on, and I started drinking. So this can be a real problem, my friends. You see, it's a problem of the consciousness, of the mind, of the brain, and it's an obsession to use. It's a mental illness when it comes to this thing. You know, many people think that addiction is a choice, that you can just turn it off by deciding that you're not going to do it anymore. And people that have never been through it, they kind of think that way. It seems intuitive, right? But that is not right, my friends. There's a lot of complex issues going on as far as the brain mechanics of this thing. And there are so many people out there that desperately, desperately want to stop using drugs. And they'll start out on a day feeling good about it, and they're sure they're not going to use that day. And before the end of the day, they are intoxicated once again. I managed finally to stop using after well over 2 decades. And how I did it, my friends, is I started taking different approaches. And here's the main theme of what I want to get to you with this video. They say that insanity, you've probably heard this, is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And that's a great piece of insight here. Perhaps you're into AA and you've been in it for a long time and it's not helping you. Perhaps you've done outpatient therapy and you just can't stop using. What I want you to do, my friends, is I want you to do some investigation on what you could do differently, what you could do that would be unique and fitting for you as a person to change this thing up and maybe get a different result. Now, I myself had tried so many different things, couldn't stop. I was crawling around on my bedroom floor one day, nearly 3 years ago, looking to see if I had dropped something. I was on a heroin binge and a methamphetamine binge, and I was hoping that maybe I dropped a piece of weed or something on the floor back there, just anything to give me some relief because I was coming down. And I started thinking to myself, what would be the least painful way to commit suicide? Because I just couldn't take it anymore. But I knew, my friends, that I had already tried to stop so many different times. I thought, what can I do differently this time? Because I'm going to die here if I don't get this right. I'm either going to kill myself or I'm going to have an overdose or something. I was literally to the end of my rope. So what I decided to do was enter a program, a medicated assistance program, a Suboxone program at a methadone clinic. And I was on that medication for just over 2 years. What happens with that, my friends? Maybe you're an opiate addict out there. There are medications for alcoholism too. I'll mention that in just a moment. But maybe you're an opiate addict and you want to try getting on Suboxone. What it does for you is it medicates you. It medicates some of that desire because the medication is intoxicating in its own right. So that helped me. It resolved my obsession because I was on medicine, and it helped me to start functioning correctly and working on the therapy and the psychological issues. So that when I got off the medicine that I could be stabilized. And that's exactly what happened for me. And now I've been stable for nearly 3 years. There's a drug called Vivitrol that can be used for alcoholics, for example. It's an injection once a month, I think. And if you were to drink while you're on Vivitrol, you could become very, very sick, or it just won't work for you. You won't get drunk. So that's a potential option for you if you're an alcoholic. Maybe you're an AA and you've tried it forever, doesn't seem to work. Most people don't get it right with AA. What I would recommend potentially for that would be this program called Rational Recovery. It kind of takes the spirituality element out of AA and add some things, and it's for people that have trouble with that spirituality thing in AA, in NA, in CA, those 12-step programs. So maybe you could change it up a little bit like that by trying something that's similar in some ways, but different and perhaps more fitting for you. I thought at one point that I would never get clean. I was so messed up. I was walking around homeless, literally sleeping on the ground for much of my life. And I was like the worst case scenario, that guy that everyone knows that's just messed up, constantly committing crimes and betraying people to keep using. And it was really sad. I was just so troubled, and I didn't want those problems with my addiction. I didn't want that. And I want you to know that, I was that guy that, had a 0% chance of sobriety. Everyone thought I'd use for the rest of my life. I've been to prison 5 times. I've made so many mistakes and errors, and I've committed so many tragedies against other people. I burned every bridge I ever had. I ripped my own mother off. And what was really troubling was it hurt me to do those things, but I felt powerless over the addiction. So I had to get unique with it, my friends. I had to try something I had never tried before, and it worked for me. It was such a relief when I finally realized I had some hope. When I got on Suboxone, I realized maybe I can do this. And I'm not saying medicated assistance is for you. Maybe it is, but there are so many different ways that you can approach this. Meditation, my friends, is gold. And I know meditation can be really hard sometimes for us addicts because we already have anxiety problems as it is with our obsession. But meditation, if you can get yourself to commit to that, can be extremely cleansing for the heart and soul, so to speak. And that's a tool that you could use if you want to try something different. I want you to launch an investigation, my friends, as far as what other people have done that are outside the box, that are outside the norm. Because there are many people that have tried the same approach for decade after decade after decade, and their whole life's gone at some point because they used their whole life, they messed the whole thing up, they were distressed the whole time, they had other people distressed the whole time throughout their lives because they were plagued with this obsession. I want to tell you, my friends, that this is a very serious neurological condition. And I don't want to make it out like an addict's not responsible for what they do, because it's easy to just erase everything you ever did if you take that approach. But I do want to tell you that you have to try to understand this thing and what it is so that you can go about addressing it properly. I want you to read up on addiction and the obsession, because I'm telling you, my friends, this is not a choice. This isn't just upping your willpower to finally say, I'm done. I'm not going to use anymore. That's not going to work for you, my friends. You have to find a new way, something that you've never tried before, something that's fitting for you. You know yourself. Maybe you are, well, let's put it this way. There are so many different people out there, and you have to take into account who you are, the weird things about you, the interesting things, the unique things, and you have to try to find an approach that will work for you. And there are many, many different things that you can do to address this issue. And I want you to try that, because I'm telling you guys that I was so messed up. No one ever would have dreamed at some point that I could get this thing right. Now I'm training to run a marathon. I'm reading a lot. And I'm just a well-balanced person. And I have a long way to go, guys, because I ruined my whole life. I'm just coming out of this now and trying to figure out what I'm going to do to live the second half of my life in a very good way. And I'm working on that, and I'll keep you updated on that. If you subscribe to my channel, I'm here for you. I know that this is also troubling. It can be so much just to even think about this issue, because we feel defeated, right? We feel like maybe we're never going to get it right. But, my friends, there are people like me out here that manage to get it right somehow. And you can do this. You can do this. If you doubt yourself, I'm telling you that you can do this by educating yourself on how all of this works, and perhaps you're already very knowledgeable about addiction. There's more that you can learn. I want you to learn about it, and I want you to launch an investigation on different approaches you can take and find something that is more appropriate for you than what you've tried in the past. And I want you to let me know in the comments how you feel, where you're at with this, what your thoughts are. Please let me know in the comments, and I will do everything I can to help you on your journey. There are people out there that are watching this today that feel hopeless, that are going to get it right and be an inspiration to other people. Now that I've rised up out of this horrible scenario that was my life, I'm just enthusiastic about reaching out and helping you guys to get over this and live a better life. It is definitely doable if you go about it correctly and you want it, right? You've got to want it. You can't force someone to want it. You've got to want it. And if you've wanted it before and you haven't got it right, I want you to change it up. I've said enough, my friends. That's how I got over it. I changed my approach, and that's what I want you to do. I want you to learn how you can do that and then execute it. I'll see you next time, guys.